Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Mike, okay. Call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Here, hit present.
Mrs. Root? Mr. Sawalish?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mrs. Galbraith is here. Mr. Albrecht?
Here. Can we stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you read that? Ms. Galbraith, would you please read the newly approved mission statement?
Absolutely. Empower each student to positively impact the world for a bright new future.
Can you repeat that by memory now? Shorter?
It's short, right?
Next time.
You're going to start right out of the box, huh?
Next time.
He's got it right there to look at.
Okay. Well, we're going to get started tonight with the good news report, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Kara.
All right, we're really excited about bringing our good news report this evening. As we had said earlier, we are going to be doing good news reports a little bit differently. Every time we're going to have students coming to the school from the schools to share their everyday learnings, everyday projects, not just the special celebrations. We're going to have a little bit of both. And as you know, we had some summer school going on this summer, and one of them was our STEM over at the middle school, but also at Monee Elementary School. And as I had gone out to visit some of our summer school programs, I got a chance to go in and see one of the STEM classes. And I just happened to hit on some really cool projects that they were doing on, which would be talking about entrepreneurs, how to be an entrepreneur. So they had started to design food trucks. And Mrs. Robinson and Mrs. Berry are in there, and Mr. Toure was also doing the summer school as well. So I invited them to come in with their students to come in and give a special presentation. But you're in for a special treat today because you know that we make you interact, just like the kids, in engaging with them. Because as we know, engaged learning is where it's at. So how many people at the board table here know the TV show Shark Tank?
I've been trying to get on.
Okay, Shark Tank. Well, I'll just do a brief update. Shark Tank is it's a TV show that has, multimillionaires. They listen to innovations of people coming and giving their proposals, and then the sharks at the table decide if they're going to invest in their product. And so that's what you're going to be doing today. So each of you is going to be a shark today. You're going to be given several $100,000. And you're going to be listening to the presentations today, and you are going to be deciding which one of these students that you are going to be investing in for the Shark Tank.
Are we allowed to say the phrase, for that reason, I am out?
So you have seen it.
Okay.
So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our teachers. We have Mrs. Berry, Miss Sarah Berry. All right. Come on in. They've been busy in practicing. They're very excited about coming in. You can see some of the projects in the back. They had done aquariums as well as food trucks, and they really did a fabulous job. They're coming. And we have some proud parents in our audience, by the way. I see some money coming out. Come on in, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Well, we're not violating any laws here.
It's very nice. Handwritten and all. Okay, all right, so we're gonna do our first group. We're gonna get their project. We're going to slide these over. So you can for your first, I'll get your this is your shark tank, so you want to condense that with your,
They're actually pretty nice.
okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Addison. Hi, my name is Emma. Kyron Presley, and this is our yellow food truck. We sell different foods, including pierogies and bubble tea. We sell only locally grown crops and use local cattle for our sliders. Everything is homemade besides the pierogies. We have foods from all over, from different cultures, which makes our food truck unique.
Our product helps because we have natural food and most food trucks do not. Also, we have fresh homemade food. We believe we could help people who need food and may not have a lot of money. That is why we have low prices.
Our product works because we all work together to make our product. We also use 21st century silk. We have homemade food of good quality. We shop locally so our food is fresh and we give back to the community. Our food truck provides a place to sit and we are pet friendly.
Pet friendly. I love that.
You should choose YOLO because we put a lot of time and effort into this food truck and we are not going to give up on it. We have learned to work together. This is how much money we think we would need for 1 year's worth of everything we need. We believe that we would need at least $10,000 to make all of our food and pay for gas for 1 year because we would be traveling a lot all over New York City, going to events and just cruising around finding a good curbside to sell our food. We also need this much money because it costs a lot for gas. We spent $168 to make all the food for 5 to 7 days. We also need paying for additional staff.
Talk about what you guys came up with. So this is their prototype of their food truck. See how they're
Do you
handling.
want to bring that over so they can see?
You wanna- yes.
A couple of you can bring it over. And then Sharks, if you've got any questions you want to ask them, you can in a few minutes. Ask
So
them
the
any
kids
questions.
The kids created all of this on their own. We just said that they wanted to do their own food truck. So they came up with their own designs. So as you can see, they have tables and sodas, and at the top of theirs, they have hot dogs and all of their products. So very creative. They even have lights that they put. And they didn't wear them today, but when we did our STEM project, they even had shirts made, YOLO, and they also had some of them wearing socks too, to promote to their parents as well.
Good question.
I do have a question for either one of you as a group. You say you work as a team. So how are you able to go to New York and still able to do your homework? Business take a lot of sweat, a lot of muscles. Schoolwork is way on top of the food chain.
Here we go.
Perseverance.
We believe that we would be out of school when we do the food truck.
And she has an answer for you. Good answer.
Exactly what I was looking for.
And then you want to show them too, how you guys came up with your own, they came up with their own cost analysis. They have the places that they're gonna go to, their menu they designed.
Okay, I have a question. Did you say everything's homemade but the pierogies? Why are you making the pierogies?
They're difficult.
So where are you getting those from? You're
Outsourcing.
buying those from somebody? Just the pierogi?
Well, I'll invest $5,000 if I can get another shark to come in with me. Okay. Okay, Sandy, you're in? Okay.
I'll invest $6,000 if I can get another shark to come in with me, and I would like 51% equity.
I think you've watched this plenty.
This is a Shark Tank. This is not a goldfish tank.
To steal your thunder, I'm out.
For that reason. Could I get another shark?
Yes.
$6,000, 51%, the 9. don't want to give up ownership, okay? Nothing more than 50%. Yeah.
Okay.
When you hear that 50% or more, don't give it up. Say
You can
no.
only have 49%.
And
That's right.
And you always want to come back with a counter offer, okay?
Told
Say,
30.
I'll give you
30.
25%.
We'll give you 30%.
Done.
We got a deal.
Done.
All right. Yeah, tough group.
Good job. Good job.
And he gets, what'd you get?
Four.
You guys
Made a
waited, you
difference.
waited too long.
That's right.
You don't know what's next to.
It's all right.
Don't sound like you're gonna fight with me all night long.
Great job,
No
group.
trophy for you.
Hey, good job.
No trophy for you.
That's right.
Okay, I see the next group coming in. They're all warmed up.
Next group.
So this.
Oh, we got more deals with us?
Hey.
Well, I think they have some more.
Okay, so
We have more money coming, right? It's coming.
You ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Emma Cruzel, age 11.
And I'm Kendall Bilecki, also age 11.
Our food truck is called British Cuisine. Our product feeds hundreds of people every day and is able to be located at different places.
Another great thing about British Cuisine food truck is that we serve hot and fresh food to people who are looking for a tasty treat or something different than American food.
We also have affordable prices that people can't turn down. Our food truck has good customer service and nice appliances, such as a stove, refrigerator, an oven, and a tea kettle.
The Sharks should pick our product because we have 100% great qualities. Also, we have delicious food that everybody should get to enjoy.
Our food is not sold in many areas, so it will be new to some people. Once people try our food, they will become regular customers.
Our business has been doing really good, and we would like to expand.
We need about $5,000 to start our business because we need paint for the truck, appliances, ingredients, and money to get into the events and money for our permit.
Hope you enjoyed our presentation and decide to give us the $5,000.
Very good. Questions from the Sharks?
so what's on your menu?
And you notice they have a teacup too, they're designed.
The teacup,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was their own. And then right here, yep, so you want to go over? So you have, okay, so what's your cuisine?
So we have the basic British menu, like fish and chips, shepherd's pie.
Flan, shortcake, scones.
We also have custard, afternoon tea, and then if you're not really into tea, you can get lemonade, Pepsi products, or just regular water.
That's something for everybody.
Okay, I question real quick, with the Pepsi products, do you say and Coke?
Yeah.
Two competitors. Are you environmental conscious when you serve those drinks? Do you use a
Yes.
paper straw?
People can bring metal straws if they want. We have
Metal or paper maybe?
maybe, yeah, paper. We also have biodegradable cups and plates.
Wow.
We chose to be in Springfield because it's a pretty popular place. And so we decided to pick Springfield for money making and events.
Well, you better
So-
check those charge cards.
Yeah, so some of the events that we wanted to go to and be a part of was baseball games, field events, 4th of July events, concerts, theater fairs, farm awareness fairs, and the SummerSlam Heatwave Fest and other historic events.
Awesome.
Our food truck is based on the British flag. Some of our main dishes, as we said, are some fish and chips, scones, and afternoon tea, and much more. We painted our food truck to make it look like the British flag.
For our business maintaining, we're going to try to maintain our business by attending as many events that in Springfield that we would be able to have enough money for. And so if we can keep buying the ingredients to make all the menu items, we will also make sure to have enough money to keep improving our food truck and business.
So what are you asking the Sharks for?
At least $5,000.
I'll go in three.
I got 5,000 for 25%.
25%.
How are you getting all this money? You get
Hang on a second.
He's getting a good return on his investment already. So,
I got $6,000, everything put away. What the heck? I'm going 3,000, and I want 30% of the business.
okay.
The business manager over there.
That was our financial superintendent back there.
I will give you what you're asking for the money, but I'll give it to you as a loan with 8% on annually interest.
Go on and say what you hear. Go
And I
on.
want my money paid back within a year.
Don't take this deal. Don't take this deal. Don't bad.
No,
Bad
I can't
deal.
do it. I can't do
And
it.
for every sandwich you sell, I want a royalty of 2 cents.
Absolutely not. That's
Absolutely
our
not,
deal.
yeah.
Take our deal.
Yes.
Yes. Take our
Well,
deal.
that's,
We'll go 6,000 for 30% interest.
Yeah, 6,000, 30% interest.
Yeah, we'll take
There you
that.
go. Done. Good job.
I do have one last question
What's the money?
about the face
You have to
upside
decide now
down.
who handles the money in the business.
All right.
All right.
That's the mic. Oh, okay.
How many more teams? do you have?
I love British ideas.
All right, next team setting up.
Yeah, you
Just keep spending thousands.
I'm sorry, Phil, we say.
can spend it like a sailor.
How much did you get?
All right, ladies, we're ready.
You got a chance to make a deal here.
Hi, my name is Maya Davis. I am 10 and I go to CSK. Hi, my name is Natalia Watson. I am 10 and I also go to CSK. Our company is called we All Around the World Foods. We sell foods from curry, tacos, and burritos, and we sell fast food that is good quality. We have our fruit and vegetables from local markets when they are in season. Our product helps people because they are able to get quality food at a reasonable price. We are located at local events so people are able to get food before and after the events. We make food for people that are hungry or need a snack. Our food truck travels around California to local events. We go to festivals, concerts, and other entertainments. We are also open all year round. We are looking for at least $11,000 to help grow our business. We need to purchase new appliances. What we have is okay for now, but we need newer, up-to-date equipment if we are going to be able to keep up with the demand of our customers. We believe that the Sharks should invest our business because we are serving needs in our community. We have a strong customer base that follows us from different events. We feel that we are a good investment. If you decide to give us the money, we are assured that we will be able to continue to grow and eventually buy another food truck.
Do you have your food truck here with you?
Yep. Yeah.
Can we put it over here so we can see it? Oh, is that the big one?
I want to be the first. I want to be the first to make you an offer. You said you wanted $11,000. I'll give you $3,000 plus my appliances that I have at home. They're 25 years old. They're 25 years old, but they will be new to you.
Did you guys tell them too how you're marketing too?
We
Okay, so how do you market now with our technology down here?
So for our technology, we have our business plan, and we have our in order for people to know, we will have ads, and we will be on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We also have like different types of cultures of food. So we have Indian and Mexican and Asian, but we just got one flag because Around the World Food Business Plan. The plan of Around the World Foods is to give taste to people to try something new in all one big food truck. So instead of eating one type of culture, we travel all around the world, all around California to festivals, concerts, fairs, and World Fest and gatherings. We also post where we will be on our social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Our username will be below. The times of our appearances will be on our food truck map.
The three of us have great customer service and great personalities. We will treat you like family. We have vegan options. Hint, hint, it is on our secret menu. If you choose our food truck, thank you, and you have yourself in for a treat.
And gluten-free cookies.
All right.
Anyone want to offer 4,000?
4,000. And how much do you want to go to business?
I'll do 30%. Is that 30%?
Okay. I'll give you 3 and 30%. Come on, cough it up. We got some more.
I'll give you a credit card.
So you got 7? You got 7, I'm in for the other 4, so here. So we got that.
Who's the banker? Who's going to be the banker?
Yes.
Congratulations. Good job. Great job. Good job. Thank you.
That's a good job.
Shake your hand. I'm shaking her hand.
Yeah. Did you allow hours for this presentation hours?
Is this we have 2 more left? One more.
This is the last one?
We have 2. We have 2. Just one and one more.
You know what reason she's out? She has no money.
Oh, that's one more.
Are we doing both of these?
I could use some more
All
money.
right, our next group is ready.
Shark Tank are rich. Okay.
Good evening, Sharks. My name is Emma, and I am 11 years old. My team members are Emma and Evan. Our company name is AAEE. Our team worked together to build 2 model aquariums for you to view. We are creative. We communicated, used technology, and we were flexible. We use math, reading, science, and note-taking skills to research our products.
Our first aquarium is a picture frame aquarium. It is a 10-gallon tank. It will work well in any home, doctor's office, or classroom. It has saltwater fish and plants and lots of toys for the fish to enjoy. We use a budget analysis and time management to stay on task. It will cost about $300 to make our aquarium.
Did you know that fish are the third most popular pet and Did you know that fish are the third most I can't do it.
It's okay. It's okay. Did you know that fish are?
That fish are the third most popular pet, and having an aquarium has many benefits. They reduce stress and are less expensive than some other pets. Aquariums also help children learn responsibility. Finally, they are quiet and pretty to look at.
Our team organized a survey. We surveyed teachers and students from kindergarten to 5th. We surveyed 134 people. We asked who would like to buy an aquarium. Our highest group were 90% were teachers 90%, fifth graders 90%, and kindergarten 75%. Based on our survey, we will focus our salaries on these age groups.
People will love our aquarium designs because they are low maintenance and reasonably priced. So they are soothing and beautiful. We added clownfish, blue tangs, and other fish to our plants.
We think you should support our company because we are creative and work well together. We know how to use technology and we have a plan that will make money.
We are asking for $10,000 to start our aquarium design company. The $10,000 will be used to buy materials, pay for advertisement, pay staff, and pay rent on a place to work. Thank you for your time, and we hope that you decide to support us.
You know, I really saw a lot of buzzwords, team management, budget analysis, a little statistical analysis, taking samples of the population out there, surveys. Awesome. I would just, a little bit more advice, I will ask for a little bit more money for all of that hard work you guys did.
Show them your models. So they have 2 models.
So these are our 2 models that we decided to create. So
10.
10,000?
10,000.
yeah, 10,000.
I can change my $1,000 bill to $100,000.
So these are some of the fish, right?
Just save like
I know.
tanks.
We have glowfish and blue tangs in our fish tanks. We also have some clownfish, seaweed, Marco algae, and mermaid fans.
All right.
How often do you have to clean the tank?
We actually have snails that will clean the tank, so you don't have to do it as frequently.
Oh, there we go. That just upped the price for me.
All right.
Great job.
I'll give him 10,000 for 20%. Yeah.
You did make more money in your pocket. I'm out.
I'm going to save mine for the next investment, so you're on, Bill.
All right. Excellent.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job. Hey, great job. Don't worry about it, okay?
Oh, God, it's my favorite show.
Okay, our last one.
Have you ever made a paper airplane? If not, come to PME Paper Airplane Museum. At our museum, we have many different paper airplane models. We also have classes to teach people how to make paper airplanes. We only charge $5 a person to come make and look some of the greatest paper airplane models ever. Yeah, that's an exaggeration. PME stands for Phoenix, McAllen, and Ethan Airplanes, but those 2 are not here today.
Stop right there.
We have airplanes classified in different difficulties, easy, medium, hard, and expert levels. I would recommend ages from 3 to 13. Come to PME Airplanes and Museum in Chicago, Illinois, 60635 Grant Park. That's right next to the Shed Aquarium. Our logo is an eagle because real pilots usually have badges with eagles on them. To know the person paid to get in, they get an eagle sticker. PME Airplanes established 2019. Our interactive museum will be successful because children love hands-on activities. Parents will love the museum because it costs less than most other museums in the Chicagoland area. It is a win-win situation for everyone. We are asking for $5,000 for maintaining our museum. We will use the $5,000 to build our business. We will be able to buy materials and advertise to a larger audience. Your investment will not be wasted. Please, next time you stop in Chicago, come to PME Airplanes. We think that we're worth $5,000 since a lot of children like folding airplanes, and adults bringing children might like the history section of airplanes. It's also another exaggeration. I can't do the easy level. I can't do any of those. None of these are mine, right? These are also the other ones. None of them. I should get through the first three steps, and then I'm done. And then I have to ask for help. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm the one who makes the parts. I'm not the one who actually builds the plane. Okay. And I don't know how my plane went 46 feet. That is Did you carry it? Yeah, I did actually. I took it all the way across the gym, and then the final couple of feet I went wee.
Oh my goodness! You know, young man, you have the whole package. Not only do you sound smart, you look extremely smart.
Thank you.
You have all the answers.
Okay.
Oh my God! I see a little bit of you and me.
I will go $5,000 for 0% interest in the company.
You owe yourself a done deal.
But I want a lifetime membership. I want a lifetime membership. Okay.
You know, you can buy this place. I don't want it anymore. You can have it. It's all yours, sir.
That's not fair. You didn't even give me a chance.
That's a done deal.
I was going to do more.
Thank you.
Oh God, I'm done. I need to go home.
Thank you very much. That was a real special treat today.
Okay.
We will.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, ladies. It truly is a lot of fun to watch our students learning. This is the day-to-day stuff that's going on in our schools. Our staff has done an amazing job, and it's fun to listen to our students. So thanks again, ladies. We've got a couple other good news reports today. I wanted to introduce Ms. Chrysos. Would you come up? Where did she go? Yes, thank you.
Parents and grandparents.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm going to have Ms. Chrysos just do some brief update on the celebration and the hard work that she and her staff and admin team have done.
I know.
Yes.
I really I'm a little concerned here that you guys put me on after that act. I don't know if I'm definitely not going to be as entertaining as the children are. I'll take it. You know I will. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to officially let everybody know on behalf of the middle school that we did hear from the IB organization, and we were approved as an authorized IB World School effective August 16th. Thank you. Can I get my staff especially to come on up? For those of you who are here from the middle school, please pop up. I know that I did ask people to join me today only because I know the work is not just me or the admin team or our IB coordinator. The work really was with the staff and the hard efforts that they put in addition to all the work the kids put in there. So with me tonight, I have Ms. Birkins. She's one of our division leaders. Christina Flores, she's our IB coordinator. Mr. Lawrence, one of our assistant principals. Ms. Ryder, one of our division leaders. Kathy Seaford, who was part of the middle school, so we're claiming her for tonight. Betsy Crawford, one of our teachers, and Christine Casiello, also one of our teachers here tonight. So thank you to them and to you guys for supporting us in this process.
Congratulations.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you again for your commitment to IB and.
That was 4 years, was it?
Well, officially, it was 3 years, but we started the process over 4 years ago. So
Wow.
it's officially 3 years. So we're in year 4 right now. Thank you.
Very proud of your work. Thank you. Okay, now I'll let you do this.
Can you speak Spanish?
Okay.
Un poquito, I speak Greek.
Yeah, she's great.
Internationally minded, yes.
No, the only reason I asked, I know there was a Spanish component that was.
Yeah, so
holding
the
us
students
up.
are all, there was some concern about the way we were doing Spanish, but we worked through that and we're officially official now, so we have a plan in place.
Excellent.
All right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Trying to spend that money wisely.
I will do so.
Thank you.
Okay, next on Good News Report, just want to report out that the University Park had a back-to-school parade on Saturday, and 5 of us on the school board were able to participate and walk in the parade. It was a fantastic event. In addition to the school board, let's see, the high school, the band was there, the football team was, who else was there? The track team. So we had very good representation from the district. A lot of people came out along Black Hawk. We handed out a lot of candy and some book bags and T-shirts. One of the things as I was going along, I was asking, if everybody's excited getting back to school, and it was unanimous among the moms. They were absolutely thrilled that school was starting again. So it was great, and I thank all the board members who were able to participate, and thank University Park for inviting us and including us. So.
Great, thank you.
And we were supposed to have pictures, but somebody dropped the ball on that. I don't know. So no, it was me. It was me. So
Terry's
Terry. So no, I'm looking kind of behind.
Decoy.
That's what you get for sitting over there, Terry. So.
Can I add just a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
to that? Yeah, it was a great day, and I believe I told the board members that was there. That's the first time I ever seen the board members from Crete, Monee School District attend that, to my knowledge. I attended that parade when they had it in some capacity since I've been involved with the community, but I'm still trying to recover from that, because I did wear 3 different shirts. I So I was walking with the school board, and I took my school board shirt back to the future ready, and put on my other township. I took that off, and I put on my the track team that I support. And I don't know why I tried to do that. I don't know why. And I paid the price, and I'm still paying the price. But it was a pleasure for me to be out there with my colleagues on the school board. It was.
Good.
But I'll never do it again like that. Never.
You needed your Superman cape on.
Yeah, well, since that day, I've got braces on my teeth.
So, okay.
See the Kai?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
First time in 42 years by the same doctor.
Okay. Well, next.
I revealed too much.
So, little TMI. So, next up, public comment. We have 4 tonight. First up is Jamie Healy regarding the Education Foundation. And just an administrative matter, since we are now in this room, we do have a clock up there, and so the countdown clock. So, Nellie.
All right, good evening. I'm Jamie Healy. This is Tina Van Wy. And we are here tonight to come to you with some really exciting news. A large group of us, consisting of residents across all of our district, have come together to reinstate the 201U Education Foundation. The foundation The foundation is an independent Illinois non-for-profit corporation that fundraises to provide gifts to enhance academic excellence at District 201U. A major change in this new foundation is the addition of members. In the past, there were the board members and directors, and now we are adding on members. So those members may choose to be involved in as many subcommittees or as few as they want, so that way we can spread out the responsibility to people. People can be involved in one thing more than one thing so that we can all come together and make some good things. In the coming weeks, information about membership will be circulating with a meeting in October. As before, the major guidelines for the foundation is primarily focused on providing funding for programs and activities that enhance the educational experience for our students. Funds will be used for things like educational programs and activities, resource materials and scholarships, special classes, programs, or camps, including summer enrichment and field trips that aren't fully funded by other sources. Those who are interested in receiving funds will complete a formal request, and we're hopeful that in the next year we'll be able to raise enough funds to begin the process for next school year. We're really excited to start this journey together to benefit the district. So anyone who is listening and watching, don't hesitate to reach out if you want to become a member, and we can all do this together if we work together for the best interest of our kids. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Currently, well, we're starting off with 11 so that we have an odd number. And then we're going to open up to as many members as anybody wants to be involved, as long as they're living within our district. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to see that. I served on the board for the Education Foundation for many years, and we did great things. The summer enrichment program was one of the big things in scholarships. So I'm happy to see that getting up and running again.
Okay, great.
Yeah, a big milestone, and kudos to you, Jamie, and your colleague there, and all the participants. So I'm sure this board will support you in any way, shape, or form. So good job. And yeah, and I have money I can donate to start it off. So interest free. Interest free.
Okay, next up we have Kathy Seifert on CMEA negotiations.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of CMEA to share that our members voted yesterday to ratify our contract. And just to give you a little, thank you. Just to give everyone a little bit of a breakdown, we started bargaining in February, and then we reached a tentative agreement on July 31st. I just wanted to say thank you to our board members that negotiated with us, as well as our administration. It was really a very collaborative process where we really worked together to do what was best for our students, and we're able to have a lot of honest and really good conversations. So thank you for your time. Thank you for our efforts, and we look forward to a really great school year.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next, we have Star Lawson, a letter to read, and a thank you to the board.
Good evening, board. This is on behalf of myself, Star Lawson, and my son, Elijah Lawson. We were the coordinators for the University Park Parade. And so I want to say thank you to the board. Thank you for participating in the University Park Back to School Community Celebration and Parade on Saturday. Through your investment of time and energy and resources, our youth and our community witnessed a concerted effort to increase and strengthen our relationships with our board leaders. Even more importantly, your participation in our parade helps in the ongoing efforts to strengthen our students' confidence in the ability of our leaders to come together and put differences aside so that they can achieve both educational and community success. You have made a significant contribution to the success of our parade, and indeed, we could not have done it without you. Thank you again for your participation. And I would like to say to those of you who donated, especially to Trustee Maurice Brown, who has really been the shark leader for the Crete Monee band boosters. drum majors, who Elijah is the lead drum major. And so I really appreciate the contribution you've made so that they can really achieve the success that they'd like to achieve as young people. And it is us who set the example for them. So I am just really delighted about what I witnessed on Saturday. And I, again, wholeheartedly say thank you to the board for demonstrating and exemplifying what it means to be a leader on this board. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, we have two more. The next, Cynthia Hudson, welcome back.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to say I agree with everything that Star Lawson has said. I would like to say I would thank you all that came out to University Park's parade. This was a great step towards bridging our communities together. And this is what it's all about. We have 4 communities and we should support everything that's going on in every community. I myself go out to the different communities. I helped with when they did the Monee Love, the Love Fest with the food drive, and that's what it's all about. We're supposed to come to each other and we're all neighbors. To me, I scratch that. We're all one big family. We have 4 communities that equal one big family. And that's the way we should treat each other. And I thank you all for coming out to our community. I hope you had a wonderful time. We enjoyed seeing you all there. We hope this is the first of many, many more years to come that you all will come out and join in our festivities. So thank you for coming out. We appreciate that. And I would also like to say, this is the beginning of another school year. And I would like for, us to continue to work together and be mindful of our spending. Taxes are high, and I just want you all to make sure you watch where you're spending and don't do wasteful spending. I know you all look at what you all have coming onto the table and just make sure you choose the right things to spend our money on because we need every penny that we can get. I thank you all for that, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you all. You all know where I'm at. If there's anything I could do, I'm all hands in.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
And lastly, we have Hezekiah Israel. Is that correct? Care and concern for our children.
Good evening, board members. And I am here because I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned because we are having these mass shootings that are occurring. And they are occurring more frequently throughout the country. And I have given this a lot of thought as to different problems and things that may be caused by this. And first of all, I say peace be upon you all. And I'm firmly convinced that these things are due to a neglect in our children being taught anything about God. And I'm not trying to push one particular religion. Okay, because I understand that violates the First Amendment. However, I feel like we've taken the First Amendment beyond what it was intended, which also includes abridging the freedom of speech. And I feel that our children need to have the right to express themselves and to speak openly on how they feel and discuss the things of God if they want to do that. Atheists could come. I'd like to maybe even moderate such a class where children can come and we can have a bit of a debate. And I really feel that it would be helpful because, you know, what our thoughts are is what our actions become. And so when children are taught that they come from an animal, well, you can't expect them not to act like an animal when they have a bad day and want to blow a bunch of kids up. And secondly, when there's a lack of anything being taught about God, there's no fear of God. And if there's no fear of God, what's to restrain you from doing something you may not want to, you know, that wouldn't be wise to do because you woke up and had a bad day. So I'm very concerned, and I'm very concerned for our kids. And my objective is I'm not trying to push one particular religion, but if we could at least get some discussions on the topic of God and you know, does God exist? Does he not? If he exists, what does he expect of us? And just get the kids talking and make it an optional class that kids could come to it. And if they don't want to come, they don't have to. So I wanted to just ask the board if there's any way we could form this type of class, because these kids it's what I'm noticing is that it's happening in high school and college age kids that are mostly, this is mostly occurring with, and that's my concern. I don't know if it's an appropriate time for you to give me a response back on that now, or if we could follow up with it, but that's my concern and what I was asking for.
We have your email here, and Dr. Coglini's will follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was glad we were able to accommodate all the public comment tonight. Just a reminder to the audience and those who attend regularly, we do like to get in the requests for public comment prior to the beginning of the meeting. So again, thank you for trying to adhere to that. Next up, administrative updates, Superintendent.
All right, this evening we have another special treat. We have our equity team that will be presenting to the board some of the things that they've learned at the Harvard Training Institute. They went on some training in May on race, equity, and leadership in schools. And this is the team that we have told you about that is beginning to work together, really embracing this, and will also be those that come up with our equity statement that will be coming next. This also fulfills our strategic goal number 2 and 3, which is focused on creating more respectful and inclusive learning environment for our staff and students. This is a team that will begin to meet this year with Ms. Hirsch and Ms. Perkins, and they will be facilitating these meetings that will be coming up. This will provide a framework for our equity statement, and they will also begin to explore at the building levels conversations, book studies, and activities to foster awareness and respect. And tonight they're here to share with you their insights that they learned from the leadership conference. And this will also count as one of your trainings for equity. So anyway, may I invite them to come on up? And let me introduce them. I have back Ms. Robinson from Balmoral. She's been here twice now. Mr. Torres Skirlock, he's our new dean at the high school. Mr. Sam Youssef, Ms. Heather Godbout, and Ms. Elizabeth Crawford. Got everybody, okay. All right, I'll turn this over to you.
Hi, we're really happy to be here, but we need something to be showing on that thing. And we maybe need a clicker thing. Okay.
Just a few things.
Good evening, all. I want to thank, first of all, Dr. Cogladis and Assistant Superintendent Laura Hirsch for selecting this group of fine educators to go to the Harvard Rio Conference. It was an outstanding group, diverse group, and we bonded very well. I really enjoyed staying with them for the week and learning from each other. Real quickly, just some conference details. It's the Harvard Graduate School of Education. It's 4 days and 9 sessions. Pretty much a small group networking that occurred on a daily basis. And pretty much we were learning about equity in schools. Okay. The objective pretty much was to investigate and kind of look at systemic racial inequality in the school systems. And then we were to examine our own context and then try and come up with a plan for equity in our own areas. As Dr. Cogladis said, goal 2 and 3 of our strategic plan deals with equity. And so now our objective is to put together concrete strategies that can be implemented in our buildings.
All right, so why did you all decide that this was something that was important enough to spend not a small amount of money on to make it possible for us to go? So we titled this slide Our Reality, and I'm just gonna say right now, our team is about real talk. So we know that equity work can sometimes be uncomfortable. It requires us to have conversations about things that we are not always super skilled at talking about. But we think that it's really important that we are honest with ourselves if we want to improve our organization. And so I'm just going to set that out there as a caveat as we start this. We know that in our district historically, not just our district, the entire country, there have been significant racial and socioeconomic achievement gaps with our students of color, our students who are living in poverty, our students who are not English language native speakers, and that shows up in our district the same way it does in the entire nation. There are strong peer influences on our students, and I think I want to expand that to say too that culturally in the American society now, there's a lot more exposure to influences that children may have been sheltered from in generations past because of the internet and social media. And so that's something that affects our students. We feel like in our communities, specifically, there are lack of opportunities for some of our students, especially students who may have not great access to transportation, for example, students whose families cannot necessarily afford to provide them some of the opportunities that maybe some of us were lucky enough to have growing up, like taking lessons, going to clubs, or being in clubs, not going to clubs, that probably comes later. So there's a lack of opportunities kind of generally in our South suburban area. Also, a lack of exposure to other cultural groups. Anyone who's lived in our area for any significant amount of time, I'm a lifelong South suburb resident who's worked in this district for a quarter of a century as of this year. Our communities have become increasingly segregated in the time that I have been in education. And so many of our students can spend the vast majority of their time in segregated settings where they're not really dealing with anybody who isn't kind of just like them, which leads to not being able to navigate cross-cultural interactions very well. Again, real talk. As one of our public comment folks said, we are 4 communities which have not always gotten along together super well. We still, as a district and as a 4-community region, are dealing with the impacts of that. Both the impacts of things that happen now and the impacts of things that have happened in the past that have caused people to have perceptions about our communities and about our schools. And I'm going to take ownership for this last one, so y'all don't have to worry about doing that because I've been involved in every single anti-bias training effort in this district in the last 25 years. And I will say that they have been minimally effective. There's a variety of reasons for that. The biggest one is just that there's competing priorities. We all know that. So we would bring folks in, we'd do a training, we'd be really strong on it for a while, we might put some practices in place, but then over time, other things would happen, Common Core would happen, Park became a thing, right? Like all these other competing priorities that didn't always allow for us to have the kind of sustained support for those efforts that we would have liked. So.
In the 4 days that we were there, they had a lot of different educators. They had a lot of different things to talk about. The titles themselves kind of explain what they were talking about, but I will go into a very brief discussion as far as the ones that are not so obvious. So one of the sessions was race, equity, and leadership. Again, kind of self-explanatory. Education 2020, reaching the disengaged. And then the next one, ethnic racial identity development. That one was a pretty big one, pretty much discussing how students that are more comfortable with their racial identity, with knowing themselves, statistically learn better. So that was a really good one. The next one, a critical race theory analysis of educational inequality in America. Another really big one, kind of talking about race-related laws and its effects on society today and ongoing. So that was a really, really big one that we enjoyed and was definitely a big one. Negotiations, growing inequality and the life chances of American children, what can schools do? Discussing a little bit about how bachelor's, master's, and such can help the students out and why they're so important to follow. Introduction to universal design for learning, deepening your impact, strategic engagement of families and communities in turnaround schools, which we all kind of agreed was a huge part of it. Discussing how we can bring families in the community involved with the education of the students. Case discussion, leadership on the line, pretty much bringing in a real world example and its effects of how race and education go along with the teacher and what we could have done better and what happened in reality. So that was a very big discussion. And then developing your racial autobiography. That was what they ended off with, pretty much letting you know why are you doing what you're doing. You kind of have to know yourself before you try to teach it with the students, which was also another big deal with us that we really, really loved. So those were all the topics covered in the 4 days. We're kind of cutting it short like that. There's way more that we want to discuss, but we kind of want to get to the next topic because we don't want to keep you here too long. Who's in it?
I'm going to talk about some of the major takeaways, and I'm going to move up closer to the podium because my eyes are getting dim and I need to read, and I've lost my glasses. All right, so I'm going to talk about how to minimize the impact of racism and poverty on student learning. One of the issues that we talked about was bandwidth depletion. And that's the amount of cognitive ability that one has, and how that issues of poverty and racism takes away from that ability to learn. So when we're looking at scholars that sit inside of our classroom who are dealing with poverty issues, racism, stereotyping, the mental capacity that they had to learn is being eaten away by those issues. So we talked a little bit about what are some things that we can do to help with replenishing that bandwidth. We talked about wraparound services for our scholars and our families. What are some mental health services that we can provide for our families? Because we know it's needed, and it's a topic that sometimes isn't discussed. But how can we help and provide for our families? Are there dental services, vision services? What are some things that we can do to help our families? And what we want to bring about a change in the paradigm from parent involvement to family and community involvement. We're taking it further. We want to bring the community in as well, because it's going to take that village that we often hear about, we talk about. It has to go beyond being just a statement that we use. Okay, I'm trying to read here. Creation of multiple pathways for families and community members to be active. So we talked about how can we get these parents in? We always, and I've heard it before, well, the parent piece is something that we can't really deal with. It's outside of our control. They're too important to be left on the side. So what can we do to be creative to get these parents in? Does it mean, so when we're talking about conferences, can we do video conferences? A lot of people have phones. You can get that parent face-to-face, maybe not inside of your classroom, doing some type of survey to see, is transportation an issue? Is there a way that we can do some busing? getting parents in. So just thinking creatively. And we've talked about, we don't have the answers, but we have some questions. And if we ask enough questions to enough people, somebody has the answer. What was my next step? And we want to advocate for our scholars, families, communities, in the wider educational landscape. Like I said, we just want to push it a little bit further.
So in addition to wanting to minimize the impacts of racism and poverty on our students, we also, looking at the teaching and learning side, want to talk about culturally responsive pedagogy. So some of the things that we brought back from the conference that we think are going to be really important for us as a district. First is anti-racism and anti-oppression training for teachers and staff. Now, I know I've said we've had minimally effective versions of those in the past, but we are determined that we're going to do a better job now. We're going to build on all of those previous attempts. We think it's important for our students to do some identity development based on the research that we learned at Harvard about the importance of that for students really being grounded in their own identity and who they are so that they can build on that foundation. We think it's important to evaluate our current policies, practices, and curriculum through an anti-racist, anti-oppressive lens. That could be everything from our dress codes to the types of books that we read, to the different types of classes that are offered in our schools. That is not a small job, but we think that it's important. To go along with that, we think that we need to provide professional development for our teachers in culturally responsive practice, which basically means that we would develop curriculum, we would use instructional practices, we would look at discipline practices, assessment, and grading that supports the whole student in all of their various multiple identities that they bring to the classroom, and would use their cultural background as a strong foundation and build on the strengths that they bring. Often in education, when we talk about issues of race and poverty, we talk about it from a deficit side, right? A deficit thinking model, which is there's something that's broken that needs to be fixed. We need to flip that on its head, and we need to recognize all of the many strengths that our students bring from their various cultural backgrounds, language backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and we want to use those to build on instead of thinking there's something that needs to be fixed. We think that this is going to require long-term follow-up coaching for teachers and staff, which is the thing in my experience in this district that I think has always kind of been lacking. We're good at it for a while, and then other things take our attention. And then we need to make sure that our instruction provides multiple means of engagement, representation, action, and expression. So giving our students choice, giving our students voice, making sure that what we're doing with our students is relevant to them in some way, and then creating a safe and learning environment where they can bring their whole selves to school every day and not feel like any part of them is not welcome or is not honored in their classrooms.
All right, so as you can see, this seems kind of, it sounds simple, right? Helping our kids use the best of themselves to become as successful as they can be. But it's really huge and overwhelming. And so we thought, well, how do we get there? And this quote is so key, and it was so great to hear Mr. Albrecht talk about this on opening day, that we have to be uncomfortable, we have to embrace that. People, middle-class people specifically, don't like to do that. And so we have all these teachers and adults in our building that come from this place where we don't like conflict, we don't like confrontation. And it doesn't have to be confrontation, but there will be some conflict. We've got to experience discomfort before we can grow. So these are two things that we think we can kind of start with. The very first thing is that our data tells us a story. And we have to look at the data, and we do, we look at it, and then we say what it is, and then we move on. How can we help kids achieve more, better, be more successful in class? But we don't really get into the nitty-gritty of it. So we have to look at our data through the lens of race, equity, and inclusion. I just looked through, I guess it was Park and Map at the middle school. It's glaring, folks. It's glaring when you look at low income, when you look at Black versus white, when you look at IEP, it's glaring. So there's something going on. We have to study it,
And then we have to have the honest conversations about that data. And before we can get to that, we have to talk about explicit bias, but that implicit. We have a lot of well-meaning adults that don't understand that their biases are affecting the way they engage with children. You know, a well-behaved child sits there and listens to me and does what I tell them to do. And we're not looking at all of those components of a child that comes into our classroom. So we have to have these honest conversations. And these are things we can do, you know, as a group. And one of my facilitator of the small group, his big kind of, you know, message to us that we can't fix the world problem that is inequity, but if we can get people, by studying the context of their own realities, which is what we each individually have to do, we can help those people find their place to affect change. And so that identity work that we want to do with our kids, we have a lot of adults who need to do a little bit of that too. Understanding, one of the great activities was figuring out when you first were aware of race. I was 13. There were a lot of people in that room that were much younger than I was. But that was the first time I realized, wow, my being white affords me things that I see this person next to me not getting. And that's just real. And so you have to address some of that.
So some ideas that we were discussing and things that we can possibly do now, or at least help us brainstorm for other ideas. Encourage teachers to call home regularly regarding something positive a student has done. This is something that is not shared enough. Too many times teachers are calling home just to discuss what your kid is doing to, you know, get better. We don't call enough to discuss, hey, just to let you know, so-and-so, he has a D in my class, but today he shined bright. He did awesome in class. He's getting better. And just share the positive. Once a week, just share the positive with the parents. So just to kind of help with the community involvement and let the teachers and parents discuss with each other a little bit more. Motivate teachers to share a little bit about their identity with their students. So I myself, I'm Arab, I'm Muslim. I share that fact with the students, and they love to hear more about myself because they don't see many. I believe we have about 3 Arab kids in the high school, so they love to hear that it's the month of Ramadan and I can't eat from sunup to sundown. So I always tell the teachers the exact same thing. Share a little bit about your culture, share a little bit about your race. The kids love to hear about it because a lot of them will be moving out of the neighborhood and they'll want to hear about other cultures and other races when they see other cultures and races. Also advertise after-school activities such as international club or a diversity club to assist students in developing their self-identity and cultural competency. So these are kinds of clubs to help with one of the discussions that we've had in the Harvard, during one of the presentations they were discussing as when you find your own identity, when you're comfortable with your own skin, your grades get better, you feel more comfortable, your self-esteem goes up. So maybe clubs such as an international club, a diversity club, or just any club in general, just kind of advertise it more. Maybe not just put a little brochure there and just hopefully the students will pick it up. Let them know, hey, join something after school, be a part of something, and they'll learn a little bit about themselves. They don't have to like it that year, but maybe they'll find something else the next year that'll interest them and get them motivated to learn about themselves and learn about their own community. So those are just a couple of ideas, and we have some more ideas.
I think we do have a couple more.
Do you need to pass the mic? No.
Are those a couple more?
Yeah.
Here comes the dog. Oh, I thought they were the same. No, I can see them. I didn't see the change. All right. One is something else that we can do. Ask the students or scholars, what's missing or what could be changed in the school that can improve their experience in a positive way. Like we said before, that student voice, they know what they want. They know what's missing. And if you ask them, they'll tell you. They're not shy about it. We also want, and we think we can provide opportunities for students. See, I didn't write this slide. That's why I keep saying students, scholars, to showcase their racial and ethnic culture through special celebrations, multicultural events, etc. We had an opportunity at our school at Balmoral. We had the scholars. they did a cultural recipe book, and they went and they talked to their grandmas, and they got recipes, and their aunts and their uncles, and they shared it with each other. They asked me if I cooked anything. I had to be honest, I haven't yet, but it was really important for them to be able to share their cultures. And for some of them, one thing that I noticed in my classroom was some of the scholars didn't think they had culture. And that was a sad thing. I was like, Mrs. Robinson, well, I'm not from Germany. I'm not German. What is my culture? I was like, are your parents from the South? You got a Southern culture, honey. Now go home and ask your mom about those collard greens and some of the dances and be able to just share. And they were able to talk about some of the cultures that they wanted to try. There was something with pickles and a Christmas tree. Anybody? German, right? And everybody, so I don't know how many people went home or they're going to go in December and ask for that pickle, but it was really a beautiful thing for them to see that they had culture and see it being celebrated and shared. So we want to do more of that. And we want to have high academic and social expectations for all scholars, because we all know if you have an expectation, we'll live up to it. If you think I can't, I probably won't. Unless you just really have that strong foundation. But if you give that strong expectation, most of the time, scholars will rise up to it. So we want to make sure we have it, and they know it. Sometimes we have it, but do we say it? I know you can do it, Jimmy. Like our little scholar here who didn't think he could do it. He could, he just didn't know it, right? But we can help to give them that and support them in that area. We also want to ensure that scholars see themselves mirrored in the curriculum. That's so important. And when I went back to school for my master's, my thesis was on whether or not African-American boys wanted to see themselves in print. And if you ask them, they were like, yeah, we think we do. But when I brought about those books and those learning, they gobbled it up. You want to see yourself, right? On Family Feud, you want to sometimes see those people who look like you on the show. Okay, I don't know why I said that, but that is true. At Shark Tank, you want to see someone that looks like you, and not just on African American History Month, Women's Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. We want it so embedded in our practice that it's not even noticed anymore. So those are just some things that we could do now. Won't even cost a lot. Thank you.
Yes, that's the last slide that we have. Again, thank you so much. I think all of us are really, really grateful for the experience to go. I've been teaching a really long time, and I feel like I might actually cry right now. We're all really tired. It's like the first day of school is happening, like none of us have slept. I am a better practitioner because of going to this experience. And so I think it was that powerful. So again, thank you so much for letting us go. Do you have any questions for us before we head off to get ready for students tomorrow?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say thank you very much. And this is what you're doing is a priority of this board. We can't accomplish our strategic plan without doing this right. And if you're not getting the resources you need, or if you see this, get superseded by another priority, I want to know about it. Okay.
I echo our board president comments. Everything I thought what could be solutions for equity of our district has been showcased here in this presentation. I would definitely you guys are the epitome of a diverse group of people right here. And to go to Harvard and bring back your learnings and share with the board it does me well. And I would like somehow we can showcase you guys, your group, within the community in some way, shape, or form. That's my I guess that's my want.
I'll work on that, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So.
Do you know when you guys are starting in September?
The district equity team, our first meeting is in September. Yeah.
All right.
Yes. And we're not the whole team. I feel like we should say that too. So we were the 5 people who were lucky enough to be chosen to go to the experience this time. There were 15, 18, 13 people who applied. And so everyone who expressed an interest was invited to join the district equity team. And so that was kind of how that was formed. And so there are, a bunch of folks who aren't here, but you'll be hearing from them and seeing them as well. So
We plan to send other participants next year to the Harvard as well. We've only got enough money to send a few at a time. We're using some grant money. But also, members of the equity team are also being sent to other professional developments that are more local. So everybody's getting something. This is going to be a power team that is coming up with all these ideas, and then they're going to be going out as grassroots movements within the schools to start working on the day-to-day stuff, the easy stuff. Some of the things that you saw that could be done easily. It's like making those phone calls home. Those are simple things that we could start right now this year. So we're really excited about the work that's going to be coming forward, and we appreciate all your time and commitment for this.
I would like to say thank you to each and every one of you, all 13 or whatever it is. This is doable. As you can see by us now, we are a unit. We're all in this together. Our kids need us. And this is what we're doing. This is the right thing. And I will echo Mr. Albrecht. If we don't know it's broken, we can't fix it. So if there is an issue, you need to find a way to get it to somebody who's going to get it to us. And if they don't get it to us, you need to get it to us. Because this is our goal. This is what we're all here for. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know this was a lot of your personal time and will continue to be personal time. And I know what that's like. So thank you very much for your dedication to our kids.
Yeah, I was going to say great timing. The fact that we did strategic plan, equity team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Go get ready for those kids tomorrow. Get some sleep.
Okay, board members, on to the consent agenda approval. Dr. Kylanies, could you read off the items?
Yes, item number 1, to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 16, 2019. Number 2, regular meeting closed session minutes of July 16, 2019. Item 3, special meeting minutes of August 13, 2019. Item 4, special meeting closed session minutes of August 13, 2019. And number 5, approve CEC annual membership 2019 to 2020. Item B for business. Number 1, approve accounts payable, agenda of bills. Number 2, approve payroll. 3, approve treasurer's report. 4, approve fireworks display, homecoming 2019. As far as curriculum, number 1, CMHS Civil Rights Movement Tour. That's the field trip that is there. And that's it.
That's it. Before we move or get a motion or have discussion, are there any items that a board member would like removed from the consent agenda for separate?
I would like the approval of the CEC annual membership. I don't recall that. Is this the first time?
No.
Okay. If it's not the first time, I'm okay with it. I just don't recall it.
CEC requires a board approval on it. Normally, this is just a vendor that we use. We use them right now with in our curriculum department. They're actively working with us on some of the other things. But CEC just wants to make clear that the board knows that we're working with them.
So we actually expend $500 for that? I think that's what they're asking.
It's for the membership because we use
That's for the membership.
Yes, we use it so regularly. It gives us actually a discount on their services that we do contract out for.
And you see benefits? You see some benefits of it?
Yes,
Okay.
we love CEC.
Okay. And the other thing is, I believe, a firework contract.
Mhm.
Bill, is this, do you have any affiliation with this one here?
Yeah.
You do?
Meaning?
Are you in a position to gain from it monetarily?
No, same as normal.
Okay.
It's the same as we've been doing the last, I think, 6 years.
Okay, but that wasn't part of your company or something like that?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
The fireworks is paid for and supplied by the boosters.
Okay.
They have to get approval because it's on the property of the district.
Okay,
So,
And they're
And-
providing all their insurance information.
yes,
all right, and this person that's the director or whatever who signed the contract? So I'm just trying to make sure that everything is
Sure.
copacetic here, and no, ill intent or any violation of any kind. So I know you wouldn't do it purposely.
yeah,
but
no.
I'm just trying to make sure.
It
When I
just-
saw that, I said, I.
It's habit from the last 7 years.
Because you always presented, and I love your presentation in the past.
It's the
And I'm like,
first year I
okay.
haven't, and I didn't, it's different, I'm on this side, so
Right.
I can have them remake that so that someone from the boosters signs it.
No, okay, your name is not on it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Right. Your name is not on it, but I just wanted to make sure you was not reaping, because I think it's a monetary value, right? Like, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
Like
to pay for the fireworks.
$2,800.
Yeah, it doesn't go to me, it goes to the company. That's a company that's hired.
Got it.
I just work for them, I'm a licensed pyrotechnician of 27 years,
So
so
you're not getting.
I just do it for, no, I just.
No
do it-
gain.
No gain.
Let the record be known, no
Yeah,
gain.
never. There's a sheet that's turned in, but for the last, ever since, it's never turned it in.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay, then are there any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mrs. Galbraith is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye, motion passes. Okay, next up, action reports, human resources.
Mr. Neal?
Mr. Neal?
I believe we're up to personnel report.
Yes.
Okay. So our personnel report reads as follows. For certified staff employment, Elizabeth Formel, Sarah Gavin, Rikaya McCallum, Stephen Palick, and Julian Rodriguez. For certified staff leave of absence, Ashley Shearer. Certified staff return from leave of absence, Rochelle Clark. Certified staff resignation, Angela Brinker Collins. Educational support staff employment, Mary Kay Bragg, Deborah Dillon, Kathy Masai, Asisatu Owe, Carly Osborne, Jamie Skirmont, and Peter Woodard. Educational support staff leave of absence, Anthony Dina III and Carolyn Kraszewski. For educational support staff return from leave of absence, Bruce Dillard, Anthony Dina III, Robert Ratliff, and Ingrid Stevens. And educational support staff reassignment, Natalie Garcia, Brandon Robertson, Sharon Daniels. And educational support staff resignation, Louis Finney, Dewan Johnson, and Danielle Schlosser.
Are there any questions for Mr. Neal on the personnel report? If none, can I get a motion to approve the personnel report?
So moved.
Sandy, I don't think your mic is on.
Second.
Still no.
Second.
There you go.
Okay. A roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Mrs. Walters?
Aye.
Mrs. Galbraith is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye. Okay, second item, approval of the CMEA union contract for 2019 through 2023.
Thank you. As Ms. Seifert said a little bit ago, we did reach a tentative agreement with the CMEA for a successor agreement. I'm sorry, my words aren't working here. For 2019 to 2023 with Crete Monee Education Association. And that was ratified by the association yesterday. And we are now presenting it to the board with a recommendation that that agreement be approved.
So I know we have a summary of terms and conditions, but just for the audience, maybe we could walk through a little bit of
On board.
the key terms.
Mr. Surma?
Mr. Surma.
Thank you, Mr. Neal.
I've shared a summary of the terms and conditions. We can actually have this posted too. If we need to post it, we can do that. on that. But what you'll see, the length of the agreement is a 4-year agreement, as Mr. Neal had said, from 2019 to 23. The step increase is 2.35%, which is the same as it was in the previous contract, so that has remained the same. However, one of the areas that we negotiated is the raise in the base salary each year. So you'll see in the first year, it's 2%, followed by 3 years of 1.7% in each of those years. You'll see the total increase over on the side then for each individual. The first year is a 4.35% increase, and then followed by 4.05 increases for the other 3 years. Additional terms, the health insurance remains the same. The board is still paying the HMO single rate for all members. Again, I add into this that for the past 2 years, we have not had a rate increase, and that's due to the work of the insurance committee. So we appreciate that, and I appreciate that, and working with them. The extended day rate is set at $32.15. However, I will say this, that I made a mistake on that. It is actually $35.16, so that has remained the same. But that is locked into the contract for the term of the contract. You'll also see one of the other areas that we negotiated was extra duty stipends. There were a bunch of steps that were in those stipends before. Now there are just, it's one level of stipend for any new individuals that are taking over. You will see at one of my points after that is that members that are in the salary structure at a higher salary are grandfathered in at that higher salary. In addition, we negotiated a 1% increase per year for CMEA members that hold those positions also. Members still receive an increase in moving a lane. That percentage increase remained the same. It did not change. There were no additional lanes that were added to the contract. You'll also see that the total cost of the 4-year contracts is about $4.25 million. Now, that is total, and that could be a little bit misleading because when I budget, I'll give you an example of for the 1920 year, I budget 3% increase across the board, so I budgeted 3%. So the additional 1.35% is actually the increase that will be put into the budget. However, I've done that, and in my budget presentation that I gave last week, that 4.35% is in there. It does show a structural deficit of $1.3 million. So again, but that's kind of the total cost of that whole contract and everything. So just kind of give you an idea with that. But what I will say is that for 1920 then, the additional cost of the budget is about $290,000 that it adds. We make that up with some conditions that I have not included on here, but things like bus supervision, early retirement incentive, we've limited only to the 3rd and 4th year, I believe, Mr. Neal? Yeah, 3 and 4 years, so that is eliminated the 1st and 2nd year, so that'll save the board a little bit of money too. Also, the evidence-based funding models I mentioned in my budget presentation gains us about another $100,000 that I have not budgeted for this, so we have that money really covered in the first year. Again, as I shared with the board before, I'm going to begin working on projections, a 3-year projection to get rid of our structural deficit, and that will include all this too. Yes.
Do you have the sheet with you in front of you? Can you tell me why middle school non-athletic positions are repeated twice with CC being eliminated on the second one?
I don't know that. I have to look at my reasons for doing that.
You deleted CC in the second list.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'll have to look at my notes and see. So I'll correct it, though. It's probably a correction I made because I did some cutting and pasting on this. Okay. And I did it really, honestly, last minute. So I'll make corrections and get that out to the board.
Okay. And I do think, Dr. Kara, that it would be good to have it posted on our website or board book or something when we have the correct information. I think that would be very good. Okay. Thank you for offering to do that.
Sure, not a problem at all.
Well, this, I guess this 4-year contract, talking about a little bit over 16, almost 16.5% over 4 years. And we know even right now, and I know what we expend for teachers is not dollar for dollar what we get from the taxpayers. Close, but not dollar for dollar. And we get from the taxpayers CPI. CPI is about 1.9%, and yet we are expending over 4%. So I don't think we so much have a spending problem. We have a revenue problem for the most part. And that's what's going to drive our revenues for the most part is CPI. No one knows what the future brings.
Right.
They're talking about a recession. From all that I have dissected on a personal level, and I haven't had a chance to complete everything on my side of the fence because I just got a chance to kind of dissect this whole contract in its entirety just over the last 24 hours. So I had 4 contracts spread out in front of me today, 2008, 2013 contract, 2014 and 15, I think 16 and 17, or somewhere around there, or 15 through 19. And what scares me a little bit is I see the trending of this contract similar to the one we had in 2008, 2013, where we had a deficit of $5.6 million. We end up having a community in a chaotic situation. We end up laying off 100 positions. And do the teachers deserve an increase? You bet they do. I'm not against that. I'm just concerned that we didn't come up with some type of contingency or some type of efficiency plan prior to invoking ourselves on this contract, saying this is how we're going to cut here. This is how we're going to cut. We can't continue to operate this. Our capital development funds, which we received in 2011, 2012, of $23.9 million. That is eroding. That's our lifeline for the most part right now. And we said and predicted back then that it looked good, that it can carry us 6, 7 years, and here we are, 6, 7, 8 years later. So we talked about the junior ROTC program, which we was looking to get grant money for to run that. Now we're looking to use money, in my opinion, or sustainable money from taxpayers to run that program. Is that true? Is that correct, Laura? Are we still getting grant money for that?
No, the federal government, once we become an official JROTC program,
Okay.
will fund some of what the cost is, but we will always incur
Some cost. Great program. Don't get me wrong. Great program. A lot of great things that's happening. I'm just concerned over longevity here with our revenues and with our expenditures lining up. That's my concern. And I think sooner than later, we need to put together an efficiency plan. You said it. We cannot continue to hire different people. You know, sometimes every position, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, every position for the most part, every program for the most part that we did away with in 2010, we brought them all back, which is okay if you have the revenues to sustain it. And our capital development fund has been keeping us afloat. And
Well, I think also, Mr. Brown, I think one of the things we also don't look at is the evidence-based funding model also.
Well, we did get about 600,000 last year, right?
Well, we did, but again, that continues to increase and that becomes hold harmless. So once we get it, we don't lose it. And that's different from when you talk back to 2008, 2011.
That's correct.
When the foundation level stayed the same for years at $6,119.
$6,119. That's
Exactly.
correct.
It stayed the same.
Yes.
So I think that is going to help us in the long run because we are still a tier 1 school.
Right.
We are still funded at 63% of what we should be funded, actually. So I think that will continue to increase for us, and that's going to help us also balance some of these things. Now, I am also not saying that we shouldn't balance the budget and we need to put an efficiency plan in. We've already started that process. We started looking at that.
But all I'm saying is we should have started that before we enter a contract like this, of this magnitude. I'm just saying. We had one, we did away with it, and we should at least, maybe not finish it, but start the process. Brought to the board, hey, you know what? This is what we're looking to get more efficient at. more effective with.
Mhm.
And we can save 100,000, 200,000. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
I can't change the past, but moving forward, we have to really act on this with rigor.
And I agree with you 100% on that too, is putting a plan together. I agree with you on that.
And I know I'm taking quite a bit of time, so Board President, bear with me on this because this has been dear to my heart.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not taking this contract lightly. I'm not taking these numbers lightly, nor do I think any other board members are. Okay, and I'm sure you're not either, and the
No,
superintendent.
without a doubt.
So I'm just letting it be known in public that we are adhering to our board policy to be good financial stewards.
Sure, and I agree with that, yes. And I agree that the sooner we start on putting a plan together, for the next 3 years, and that's what I've shared with the board, we've already started that process of looking at some things internally and checking those things out for contracts and all those type of things. But again, between Dr. Kara, Mr. Neal, myself, all the other assistant soups, we're going to look at all these areas to see, and that where we can get more efficient at, I will tell you that.
That's one of the strategies.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments on the?
On not with you, but I do have a question regarding, I cannot locate it per se, but it is under 7 point something on the student discipline. And I noticed when I was reading it, it had, again, I'm all into protecting our teachers from students' behavior, so on and so forth, but I think we had an opportunity to verbalize it in there about restorative justice and de-escalating situations, okay? It was all about what I saw in that contract. I can't see exactly which section, but it's under 7. You guys maybe can find it. It's under 7 on the pupil discipline. But what got me was, it was something about if the teachers, the board or the district encouraged teachers to take action or to file a complaint to law enforcement of students' behavior, whatever. That's what the verbiage said. We encourage them, okay? And it also says that a board member, the teachers can solicit a board member to go with them and support them in court. It didn't say the word court, but in a manner to support them. So does that mean that that board is representative of the entire board? What? Do you recall that? It said
Page 344.
I was going to say, I
344.
can't find it in 7.
That's where it starts.
340.
It's only 2 pages.
I need clarity on that.
It's on page 344,
Yes,
so it's not in 7.
yes, 7.1.
It's
I was just on
I know it's in
7.1 and it
section.
was 222 in my board
Yeah.
packet.
What is it, 7 point?
7.1 is where it starts.
340,
Yeah, 7.1, that's pupil discipline under 7.
Yeah.
But I recall reading, again, I had my desk looked like a maze, and I didn't read it with me. But anyway,
7.2.
you guys were closer to the contract, negotiating, and we be able to stand.
7.2, I think he's talking about.
We're recognizing the teacher and not the
No, it actually said the teacher can solicit a board member to kind of
Okay,
go
I'm
with
trying to
them.
find it.
7.6.
7.2 you're looking at?
It wasn't 7.2. Does that stand out? Do you recall making
I do not
that?
see anything about soliciting a board member in any of 7.
That's what I was saying, I'm not seeing that either. So. I've got a hard copy as well.
It says about the board recognizing the responsibility to give support, but
Well, okay, it's kind of a moot point, and you guys have come across it, but I know I read that, and it kind of stood out like a sore thumb. I'm like, what,
It's 7.2. It says the board also recognizes. 7.2 says a teacher shall be responsible for the reasonable conduct of his/her class for maintaining discipline and order in his/her presence in the school building and on the school grounds. The board also recognizes its responsibility to give reasonable support and assistance to the teacher with respect to the maintenance of control and discipline. The board recognizes that the teacher may not fairly be expected to undertake those duties, which can only be performed by a psychotherapist certified in accordance with Illinois law. Is that what you're referencing?
No,
because I was going to say that's not getting
But
a board
that
member.
wasn't changed from the prior contract.
This was the one that
It would be in red if it was
It would be-
it wasn't changed. Oh, it would be in red?
Yeah.
Red was only the changes?
Yeah.
Okay, red was only the
Yeah,
changes.
right.
Okay, that was in the prior contract.
Okay. So
Okay.
no change.
No change.
Okay.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay.
That's what you tried to clarify. And I do want to thank Dr. Connollyse because I gave her a last minute think and she put this together in 5 minutes.
So,
good job.
Mr. Surma, thank you.
yes.
Good job. Excellent job.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on the CMEA contract?
Can we, I don't know, again, moving forward, I don't know how we can do better because even when I was part of the negotiating team, I think we did the same thing. Lyle, maybe you can answer this question. What can we do better where, again, the board, I just had the opportunity to look at the entire contract yesterday.
Well, I think part of the difficult part is other than those on the
122
negotiating team,
pages.
no one is allowed to see it until it's been ratified by the union.
So-
So once
so-
it's been ratified, we provided it.
But the teachers, so the teachers, again, it's a contract between the district and the teachers. The teachers had a chance to see it before I did.
Before
And
they
I-
ratified, that's correct,
Well,
yes.
yeah, so I'm here to approve it, but they had a chance to dissect it before I did.
Right, they have
So
to
I-
vote
I'm
on
not-
it.
Right, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, I was put on the spot personally to try to dissect this, and I am one that really try to dissect contracts.
Well, and generally, we're not in a situation where there's a ratification one day and a board approval the next day.
I think
That was a short period of time.
Okay, so maybe, I don't know. Again, we don't have to solve it tonight, but moving forward, if I'm around when there's another contract that we need
That's
to,
going your way.
That would not be our choice next time, is to have it that close
please.
together.
And I cannot speak for what CMA presented. I obviously wasn't there, but I doubt that their members saw the entire contract. They got the same type of bullet point overview that the board would have received
And
as
I
well.
would expect the ratification, the members ratifying the contract to be high. Do we know the percentage? They shared that with us the last time.
I
They
have
didn't-
not
they
had
didn't
this
mention it
percentage
tonight.
shared with me at this point,
Really?
but I was
You?
told it was by a comfortable margin. That's all I
Yeah.
do know.
Okay.
I
Because
don't
they
know
needed
numbers.
2/3, right? 2/3 to ratify?
Was it 2/3? Yeah.
2/3 of those who voted.
Oh, okay.
Kathy, I'm with you. I'm not a, okay? I'm not. I might vote a little different tonight, but I'm still with you, okay? All right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on item 9A2? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the CMEA union contract for 2019-2023?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Mrs. Galbraith is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, next up, we have item number 3 is to approve non-union salaries for 2019-2020. Lyle, you're presenting this?
Well,
Yes. So,
that's
Yes,
up to the
go-
superintendent.
Go ahead, Mr.
Well, actually, I just wanted I was asked to put together a recommendation for a 3% increase to the salaries of non-union employees. And so this would complete the increases for all employees. And what the administration is recommending is that the board approve a 3% increase to the salaries of all non-union employees hired to their current positions prior to July 1, 2019, remaining employed at the time of the approval of the resolution effective July 1. So anybody who moved to a new position, got promoted, or anybody who was hired in brand new would not receive an increase. This would be existing employees who were in their positions on June 30th and remain there now.
So is this the first time we had a document like this? You said it was approved back on the document, you said it was approved last year, June 19, 2018.
Well, that's when the last round of salaries was approved.
But
I
it was
don't
no
know if that
procedure.
document was in the board book
That
for
was
that
not.
meeting.
That was
It has been presented to the board at least each of the last 3 years.
That document.
That document, it looked a little different at the time because we had 3 years worth of increases. When we first started the process of bringing the non-union employees up to the market, we were asked by the board to create a 3-year plan for that. So originally that document showed the 3-year plan. What we did was delete the 3-year plan and leave the piece where it ended up at the end of the plan.
Okay, so yeah, I cannot find that document. So the last time you came to the board, we had pretty much approved to bring the non-union personnel up to market value at that point.
To the end of that 3-year plan, yes.
And then in that document, or in those meetings from last year in June, bring everybody up to 100% level, plus moving forward 2.1% increase.
It was not a plus. It was if someone, it guaranteed a CPI increase to anybody who would not have gotten an increase based on the market value. That's what that was at the time.
So how could we justify 3% now when CPI is only 1.9? Would you consider this a binding contract, a binding document? There's no provision that basically said if the board is in position to move forward with a 3%. I don't think I saw anything like that. So as a board member, are we obligated for the 3%?
Well, the document that was in there is how we place people initially into the system. Any increases they're going to get from there are going to be approved by the board. They're not going to be outlined in that document unless there is a change to the starting salaries. That's what that document
This is a
shows.
procedure document. It's not
Yes.
a contract.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, but how rigid are we to adhere to that procedure if we do not follow that procedure? It seemed like that procedure was written in favor of the powers to be, but not us as a board.
So Lyle, is this the last of that 3-year study to get them to the 100%?
That was
No, they
last year.
already
Last year, so
made the
now-
100%.
So this was not included in that. This is brand new.
So we are a district at 100% market value right now with all of our employees.
As of the initial survey that was done in 2015, we're at 100%.
All right, so that's a
market.
4-year-old survey.
Yes. Now, I don't believe it's changed a tremendous amount, but no, we have not done a new survey yet since then.
So is this 3%, does that include you as well?
Yes.
I almost seem like we need a third party here because that includes Dr. Cochran.
If taking my raise out of it will pass it for everyone else, that's perfectly fine. If that's the.
No.
If that's what will make it work.
Don't take it personal, Lyle.
I'm not taking it personally, but there's nothing shady going on here.
I'm not saying that at all.
This is the process that we've had.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm just looking at it from a contractual point of view, even though this is not a contract, a procedure point of view. Who's writing the procedure? Who's here to vote on it?
Uh-oh.
The context.
How you did it.
I'm not.
You bring your bodyguard.
No, one of these, I just want to share, you asked about the 3%. And I'm the one that came up with that number, and the reason I came up with that number is that Acme is getting a 3% increase. The teachers are also getting 4.35. So in fairness to all the non-union people, that's why I picked a 3.0. The board does not have to agree with that. The board can make any recommendation they want, either not to give an increase or to give an increase of any percentage. That's up to the board. Our recommendation is 3%, my recommendation. No, that's what I'm saying.
And you have every right to do that.
Sure, I know.
I just want to let the board know
Right.
if they do not know, and I'm sure they do, but this is how I'm seeing it here. This is what's
One of the things we
table.
talked about internally with the market value is that if you don't continue to give some type of increase, you're going to fall behind again. And then we're going to get back to this whole thing that people are not market
And I
value.
understand it, but
That's
we have
all.
a district to run in its
I agree.
entirety. Taxpayers, teachers,
Mm-hmm.
janitors, clerks, administrators, the whole 9 yards. Again, if we can give a constant 5% to stay up with market value, that's fine. But if we don't have the revenues to sustain that, that's a whole different ballgame. That's
I agree.
all I'm saying.
I agree. I understand.
So you as the business manager, you have to show us that. How can we justify this 3%? How can we justify the 4% when we have X amount of dollars coming in?
Okay.
That's all. That's enough said right me.
Okay, do we have any other comments, questions? So can I get a motion to approve the non-union salaries as recommended by the administration?
Moved.
What-
can't change it now. You have to refuse this and come back.
Okay, we don't have a second. Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
I feel my answer right now. No.
Mr. Brown?
Abstain.
Mrs. Galbraith is a no. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Do not carry.
No, we had
You had
Two yeses and one
two
no.
noes, and no, you had two noes.
2 noes. Okay.
And an
okay,
abstain.
Okay. Okay, motion fails.
Would you like us to bring back another percentage at some point, or where would you like?
Yes,
Where would you like us
that's
to
what
go?
Bill was asking, so.
Yeah.
We could come back, the committee as a whole. And
If we can have Ken, Mr. Surma, put together, I guess figure out, I agree with what Mr. Brown's saying in reality, we just need to figure out where we're gonna be in 2 years. 3 years. Are we gonna be able to make up the deficit? You're right. I mean, don't get me wrong. The teachers, we approved that, but that's right. That's a 16% increase. We gotta be able to sustain that. So if we can bring that back and we can discuss that in committee of the whole,
Okay.
I guess a little bit more, if we can come up with a plan,
All right, we will.
then I
bring
would
that-
support that.
We'll bring that back.
And-
The only thing I would share is I won't be able to have that done by September.
Okay.
I would just tell you that. It's just not possible to have an accurate projection, a 2 or 3 year projection by then, to be honest with you. It's probably
But
gonna
will
take
it
me a couple months.
hinder a raise if you if whatever you bring back it justify and the board will eventually vote yes on whatever percentage that we deem is appropriate, can it be retroactive?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure, it would be retroactive. That's
Yeah.
not a problem.
Okay.
So if you don't have it ready in September,
So, yeah.
No, that's okay. I
You
just
know.
want to, I just want to say that I won't be able to get it done by September. I just.
No, that's fine. And
But anything can be retroactive. If the board approves a raise, we can retroactive that's not a problem.
And I think that's fair, retroactive, that if we need the time to make sure that the plan is right, then I think we should do that.
That's not a problem.
and let me just again let the record be straight. I am not here to be a tyrant and to be combative towards our administrators and non-union employees, nor union employees. But again, I'm here to do due diligence as I see it as a board member, the entire process when it comes to the financial components.
All right, we'll bring that back.
Okay. Okay, old business. I just have one item. We can pass a couple down that way. That way. Just again, here were our self-evaluations from the special meeting that we had last week. You can see these. And there was one comment on it, and that's on the back. And I just, we talked about this in our training that, we're going to be open as a board and we're going to talk about things. And where a lot of times when we're coming around to comment, board members kind of feel pressure to have to say something. And I think we ought to be more, we can jump around the table. If you have something to say it. But I don't think board members should feel pressured like we're just going to go around the table. And that was some feedback, and I think constructive feedback that we got from one of our members. So just to point that out. So I think there's value in continuing to do these evaluations. So.
I see improvement from the previous one.
So.
Is either 4 or 5, so this is good.
Yeah, I'm going to keep track of these, and we'll kind of maybe see kind of where we continually, have an agree versus strongly, and see, where can we work on some improvement. And
well, you guys,
these are all good scores. I think as a team we're pretty high graders, but I don't think we're doing that great. So
for you guys to let me talk like I did today, you're going to get a 6.
Yeah, we haven't graded today yet, Mr. Brown. So
Give them your extra money.
So, okay. Is there any other old business? Okay. I do have one new business item, and this is kind of a follow-up. We had talked about in September establishing, now that we have the strategic plan, establishing the superintendent's goals for the coming school year. And I have asked Vice President Roop and I, when we both get back from vacation next week, to kind of sit down, put our heads together to bring something that we'll present in closed session after the committee of the whole next month. Mm-hmm. So that we kind of walk in with, here's kind of what we think, and then we can have a discussion around that. So just let everybody know kind of what we're doing.
Wait, say that again. Who's going to be making these goals?
So I have asked that Cheryl Roop and I will sit down and kind of put our heads together, kind of put a framework around that, then we can discuss and get the input from the entire board on.
Okay, I disagree with that. I think that every board member should have input, whether it be we just email you, but for you to make a framework and then for us to have to work around that, that may not be the right way to make a goal. I mean, I may not be anywhere near, I'm thinking that we need this, this, and that. So when we go to have that closed session, you could turn it into a 4-hour discussion because there may be 2 or 3 major things that
I think it'd be more efficient if we kind of come in with a suggestion and we can modify that, and we'll bring all the input together. But I think we need a starting point. So.
I agree, but I think that you should be asking the board members to help with that starting point. She works for all of us. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And so for 2 of you to come with a framework and go this way, we may forget what we had in mind. So I think that the board members at least should be emailing to you what they think a goal should involve, whether it be the financial, whatever. I'm not saying specific, but the area that we need to be looking at, and maybe they have an idea, like Mr. Brown. He's spot on about he's watching this financial with the raises and all that stuff. So maybe we want to make sure that that's a part of it, and that's very strong to him.
And we'll get all that input in a closed session, but I think to kind of focus the discussion, this is the way I'd like to proceed. So I have your input, and I so duly noted.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
I do have a new business item. I wanted to bring to the attention of the board just some discussion. The district, as you know, has been monitoring the water issues in University Park with the residents there way back in June. We've worked over the summer with Aqua Water as well as the Illinois Department of Public Health. As you recall, in 2017, the district did do some testing as was required, and since that point, we have continued to provide bottled drinking water for our students at the elementary buildings, specifically at CSK. During the summer months, we were in contact with the Illinois Department of Public Health and asked them to come into the district to conduct some water samples for us prior to school starting. from our drinking fountains and sinks that are used for food preparation. And as you've seen with some of the research with the lead, is usually for consumption only, whether food prep, it's not hand washing necessarily. Generally, our fountains have already been shut down. We don't have drinking fountains in some of those buildings. So those have been shut down. But when they go to do the water testing, they do sample from there.
Now, you said one was shut down prior to this event occurring. I think.
Yes.
And what,
Our
for the same
fountains.
reason?
Back in 2017, they did some testing, as you may recall, and it was published. And they chose to shut them down at that point.
That's at Balmoral, CSK?
It was for,
was
the law had basically asked us to do testing at all fifth grade and under schools.
Okay.
And so we chose to be very proactive and shut down.
Okay, so we had some inoperable water fountains
Correct.
prior to
Again,
this
we have
event.
some aging facilities, as you know, and a lot of the problems with the lead is in the actual faucets themselves. So the district was proactive back then and has been providing bottled water to our students for a number of years now, and especially CSK. In order to move on, we recognize that there were some issues out there in University Park. As you may know, we sent this flyer out to all the University Park families that go to our schools. That would be at CSK as well as the middle school, to let them know about our proactive stance on what we were going to do with the testing. And there were 6 points in this plan. This has been reviewed by the Illinois Department of Public Health. And so we do have a 5-point plan that we are going to be using. Number one, all drinking fountains will be turned off and water dispensers supplied to the middle school and Coretta Scott King Magnet School in place of drinking fountains. We are going to be adding portable hand washing stations in each of the bathrooms so students do not wash their hands in the sinks. The water to the sinks will be turned off to prevent accidental usage. Now, the Department of Public Health said we didn't necessarily need to do that, but we chose to take the extra steps to do that for our families. Yes.
How are kids going to wash their hands again?
Well, have you been to carnivals? They have the hand washing stations out there where water's brought in, and those will be set up
Or are they going to be set up at?
in the school.
I mean,
In front of the
washroom or
bathroom.
inside the
Yes,
washroom?
yes. Right.
All right.
We're going to add hand sanitizer dispensers. They will be installed in each of the classrooms to provide continual cleanliness for our students. We are going to take the extra step to use a sanitizer called Sanibet to clean tables in the cafeteria and desks in the classroom. This protocol is safe. It does not need to be mixed with water. And again, that also is something that we were not told we had to do. We're choosing to do it at. And then the food service staff will create food items that are hot or cold using fewer pans. So I'll let you think about that for a minute. Do you have a question?
The expenses that are occurring on our behalf, are we going to seek reimbursement from Aqua?
That is a good question. Mrs. Surma, do you want to address that?
I'm going to talk to legal about that. However, I will give you my personal opinion on it, okay? Once I see what the costs are when we get done with this whole thing, we'll have to make a determination. I'll share that with the board. There is a large distrust for Aqua Illinois out there right now. And what I don't want to do is either go after them so that they can come back to us and say, well, we gave you reimbursement, now we want to do this, you know? So it's a decision I think we're going to need to make once we get all the expenses for that and see what those expenses are and that. And Keith is monitoring all that. I have separate accounts set up on our ledgers to monitor that and put the expenses in there. So once this is done, whenever that is, I don't know when that's going to be really. I'll come back to the board with a number, and then the board can determine what they want to do, and then I'll seek legal counsel on that too, so you have a legal opinion on that too, okay? I just don't want to say that up front because again, as a district, we've decided, because we actually met with Aqua Illinois, with the president of the company, great conversation, and they said, we'll do whatever you need to do. We decided that we don't want their help. We want everything third party to make sure that we get accurate results. Because again, there's a distrust in the community out there with Aqua, Illinois and that over this whole situation. And so I don't want to share with them that, well, we used Aqua, Illinois to test. I don't want that. I want third party. We brought in our regulatory commission, which is the Illinois Department of Public Health. Then we did some additional testing last week also because they only test consumable fixtures, drinking fountains, those type of things. They didn't actually test the bathroom fixtures. So what Keith was able to do is we were able to bring in our own consultant, our testing service, to test those. Once we get the results of that, then we'll determine if we continue the hand washing stations in the bathrooms. Once I get those results in that, if they're non-detectable in that. But again, we've taken a proactive stance on this. We've done things that, as Dr. Carrot said, we've done things that we don't have to do, but I think it's important that we do to protect our kids and protect our staff. And that is like shutting off all the water fountains. We're just doing that, and that because it just makes sense. Okay, does that help, Mr. Brown? Yeah,
It does. I would like just sooner than later, the advantage if we. At one time, we didn't have mics here. I think it's the braces on my teeth. At one time, we did, was it the state attorney? The attorney general is suing Aqua, right?
Yes, they are. From my
There's a
understanding,
lawsuit.
it's the state, the attorney general and Will County.
And Will County.
I saw something today on the website that Illinois Department of Health.
They chimed in.
They may have chimed in. They may do that, in that. So, but it's really the regulatory commission for all the schools is the Illinois Department of Health. All right, Illinois Department of Public Health. That's our regulatory commission really, and that. So they may have jumped in, but I do know Will County and the Attorney General State of Illinois have.
I don't want to open up a Pandora's box here, but we are overseers of the two schools in University Park, CSK and the middle school. And I can just see a parent possibly coming back at us and taking legal action. I don't know. So I think those conversations with our counsel to see just where we fall from a legal point of view, how far do we want to be proactive as opposed to reactive?
Well, I think the steps that we have taken, and again, we'll seek legal counsel on
You
this.
took mitigating actions there, but I'm just saying as far as, to cover ourselves.
Right.
To put a blanket of protection over ourselves the best we could from a legal point of view.
Sure.
From outside.
Right.
Just keeping it real.
No, I understand that. So again, we can seek legal counsel on that and determine that and see if there's any other steps to take. But in essence, I think by the proactive measures that we've taken, we really have shut off the water for consumption. I mean, that's really what we've done.
But it's almost after the fact.
No, it's not after the fact. The schools haven't been occupied.
But this issue with this water has been out there for a couple of years, I guess.
No, the issue with the water started in June of this year with Aqua, Illinois.
No, that's when they just promoted it out and basically said, here, we have a problem. But this problem has been known to go back.
Okay, well.
Well, in 2017.
August
yeah.
2017. So our kids has been exposed in some level.
I don't believe that is true. Pardon me? Yeah.
Well, we can certainly follow up with our legal counsel to
That's
address
all.
your questions. So as I had said before, and I had passed it out to just the other night, we did receive the latest sampling from Illinois Department of Public Health that you have taken a look at. We are going to post that on our website tomorrow, along with, the recommendations that we're going to be moving forward with. The Illinois Department of Public Health has reviewed what we're doing, and they're confident and comfortable with what we're doing. So we'll be putting that up on our website, both at CSK Middle School and the district as well. Now, we will also be participating on September 19th in our annually scheduled water testing. We're going to be doing that for all of our buildings, just so we have a baseline. And that's our update.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other new business? Okay, we do have a need for a brief closed session tonight. We will not be having any other action items after closed. Could I get a motion to go into closed section for the purpose of the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in the Open Meetings Act, including a vacancy in the public office?
So moved.
Roll call?
Mrs. Walters?
Aye.
Mr. Sawalish?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mrs. Galbraith is an aye. Mr. Albrecht?
Aye.
Do you know roughly how long?
I would think 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. So,
It's short.
yeah, which it's really just an update.
Talk about leaving work to go to work.
We're back in open session.
Come on, Mr. Brown. You have to nod your head or make a noise.
Don, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. So we're back in open session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
9:14.
We're adjourned.
Hey, Don.
Good job, team.
So Dr. Cogley.
Sandy wants,